Okay, let's go ahead and do a quick unboxing because I wanted you to see the packaging and just kind of see the presentation, because I actually think they did a really good job with the presentation. I like the design of the box. It goes with the aesthetic of the device itself. So let's go ahead and open this up. And as you can see, the presentation is actually quite nice. This is your QC quality control card here. And then you have the device right here. Set that aside, and then if you lift the foam up underneath, you have some accessories, and you have the warranty card and the user guide. Let's go ahead and open this up. And so as far as accessories, you have a Type C to Type C. Pretty cool looking cable. It does have some issues, but we'll go over that. As far as aesthetics, it is nice. And then you have the Type C to Type A USB adapter. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the build and design of the Moonriver 2. I love the approach they took with all of the angled cuts and the different dimensions going on with the design. This is machined aluminum. As you can see, it's got a lot of really cool details in it. You got little steps that are machined in here, here, here. Just super cool. Looks like they really put a lot of thought into the design of this. And as far as the depth and the dimension, the shape, I don't know how much of that is, I'm sure it both has aesthetic purpose and practical purpose. Maybe some of the shape is to accommodate the internals. You have the Type C input here on the bottom. It looks like there's a schematic of, and I don't know how accurate this is, but it's probably pretty close, of the internals. And it even specifies here the 4.4 and 3.5. But it's very cool, and it feels nice. Again, it's machined aluminum, so I'm pretty sure this thing would be able to handle your everyday routine and take a pretty good beating. It seems like the build quality is just top notch on this. And it is light. It's very small and almost unnoticeable in my pocket. Now, one thing, this is actually, this is the volume control here. You've got the volume up, volume down. This also acts as the gain switch if you press them simultaneously, and I will demonstrate that when I have it hooked up to my device. If you listen closely, you can hear that little volume rocker rattling a little bit. Not a big deal. It still functions perfectly fine, but just it feels a little clunky. You can feel that moving around, but again, that's just a very minor nitpick. But overall, as far as the build and the design, I think it's very cool, and again, overall feels very nice, very high quality. Okay, so now let's talk about the specifications of the Moonriver 2. We'll talk about the power output first, because that was one thing that impressed me right away. The 4.4 output in high gain can put out 4 volts, which is pretty crazy. That's pretty impressive. That's enough to power probably almost every over-ear headphone, and not just kind of power it. That should be plenty of power for most over-ear headphones. I'm sure you will find some out there that this may not drive 100%, but I'm pretty sure most of them will be driven just fine with this, and it won't just kind of drive them. I think it'll sound pretty good, because this again, 4 volts is quite a bit of power output, 3.5, and that's in high gain. On low gain, you can get 2.8 volts out of the 4.4. Out of the 3.5 millimeter, on high gain, you get 2 volts, and then in low gain, you get 1.4 volts. And I go back and forth. I prefer to listen in balanced if I can. I've got balanced cables for all of my IEMs, so most of my listening is done with the 4.4 output. But again, I do listen if I want to test the output of the 3.5. I did do some testing with that as well, but most of my listening is actually done with a 4.4. Now, as far as another impressive number, as far as the signal to noise ratio out of the 3.5, you get 103 dBs, which is pretty impressive. Out of the 4.4, 131 dBs. So that's pretty quiet. And I did test the background noise with my 2020 Andromedas. If there is any noise to be heard, those will definitely pick it up. And I heard no hiss or background noise at all. Now, again, that is actually not using the stock Type C to Type C cable. This, as cool as this cable is, it actually feels nice as far as the quality. Looks cool. I like the aesthetics of it. The only problem is it does pick up some interference. But that's an easy fix. I just used a different cable. I've got several of the USB cables that I used, and that took care of the problem completely. And it wasn't all the time. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the sound of the Moonriver 2. We'll go ahead and plug it in here. And when I plug it in, you're going to see this little LED turn on right here. So this LED actually indicates a couple of things. It tells you whether you're in high gain or low gain, and it also changes color according to whatever the format of the music you're listening to. But now, and I told you I would go ahead and show you how to operate the high gain and low gain. So I'm going to do that right now. This light will actually turn to red whenever it switches over to low gain. And what you have to do is you push the volume up and volume down simultaneously. And let's see if I can get it first try here. Nope. Okay, 2 tries. Usually I can do it the first try. It's actually not that bad. So you can see right now this indicates that it's in low gain. And if you push it again, it switches to high gain. Now, we all know there is a lot of competition in the USB DAC market right now, and I have some of the more recent DACs that I've reviewed out. I have not reviewed the Channeling UA5, but that review will be coming out here pretty soon. I have reviewed the KA3 and the 2021 BTR5. So I've kind of been comparing these, and now the BTR5 2021, that's a go-to DAC for me because of the Bluetooth. It's just really convenient. And so if I'm getting ready to go on a walk or go somewhere, a lot of times I will grab that. And that's not necessarily because it sounds better, although it does sound good, than any of these. Again, that's usually if I'm in a hurry and I'm wanting to just grab something that's really convenient and I don't have to want to deal with a USB cable, then I will just grab that. And I got the clip and stuff, so it's just easy to grab and clip on real quick. Now, if I'm wanting, up until this one, if I wanted something that was that I was just really wanting to get more listening enjoyment out of and had more a musical presentation, I would grab the Channeling UA5. And I don't want to go into depth as far as the UA5 yet again, because I have not reviewed that yet. And so I don't want to give away too much other than to say I love this thing. Now, as far as the KA3, now again, I just reviewed that one recently, and for the price, this thing was very, very impressive. I like this a lot too. So these are all, there's a lot of competition in the USB DAC market right now. And if you compare the prices of the BTR5 2021 and the KA3 to the Moonriver 2, these are a lot less expensive. They're about half the price. I think the Channeling UA5 is about $239, but the Moonriver 2 comes in at $189. So that's not too expensive, but that's not cheap either. Again, considering that you can get the KA3 for, I believe, around $89. So that's a very inexpensive DAC right there that sounds really, really good. And this one also gives you the 4.4 and the 3.5 output, not nearly as much power output as the Moonriver 2. Of course, but it still does power all of my IEMs easily, and it sounds great. Now, just to kind of give you some size comparison here, you can see that the size of the Moonriver 2 is very similar to the KA3. The Moonriver 2 is lighter, and there is some variance, obviously, in the dimension of the shape of the Moonriver 2, but it on the thicker end of the Moonriver 2, it is thicker than the KA3. They're almost the same length. Moonriver 2 is slightly longer. Now, as far as the sound presentation of the Moonriver 2, this has a very neutral sound signature. So it doesn't have any coloration at all. So it doesn't lean to warm or to cold. It is about as neutral of a presentation as I've heard in any USB DAC. And what that means really is that whatever the sound signature of your IEM or headphone is, it's going to accurately represent that your IEM or headphone sound signature, which I like that. I don't mind that. I do like the idea that I can hear if I have an IEM that has a warm sound signature. I'm still going to hear that warm sound signature. However, I don't mind if a USB DAC does have a little bit of a more of a maybe a musical presentation or something that leans a little warm. It doesn't matter to me. Now, that being said, even though this has a neutral presentation, somehow this maintains good musicality, sounds very organic and very natural. And that kind of confused me at first. And I know that I've got to be careful when I use those terms. Sometimes those terms can be controversial, as evidenced in some of the comments in my last review. However, I will continue to use them because I think those are valid terms, and I think they are good descriptive terms. I think most of you understand that. Now, so again, even though this has a neutral presentation, somehow, and again, this kind of confused me, it maintains good musicality. Usually when I think of the term musical, organic, natural, I associate that with a warm sound signature, so a little more emphasis in the lower mids and mid bass. This does not have that, but yet somehow it still sounds musical to me. It sounds very natural. So that was impressive to me, and it kind of caught me off guard. Now, before this, and I want to step back just a little bit since I'm talking about the competition in the DAC world, my go-to DAC was the PAW S1. That DAC was one of my favorite DACs, still is, but that was kind of my go-to DAC as far as portability. I liked everything about it, and I just loved the sound of that. Now, so now coming back to the Moonriver 2, I'm going to say that, and normally I don't do this, but I am going to say this because I think this warrants, this is how impressed I was by the Moonriver 2. The Moonriver 2 is now my new favorite DAC, aside from the UA5. And again, I'm not going to say, when I'm comparing to the KA3, PAW S1, BTR5 2021, and a lot of other DACs I've had in the past, USB DACs, the Moonriver 2 is now my new favorite. This thing is just a solid first entry by Moondrop. And again, that still kind of blows me away that this is their first USB DAC, and they were able to put out such a solid DAC for their first try. So props to Moondrop. They really impressed me. And so I'm going to get a lot of use out of this. This is going to spend a lot of time with me on my walks in my pocket. So yeah. So again, you know me, I like to bottom line everything. For the price, I know again, $189 is not necessarily it's not a small amount of money by any stretch of the imagination. When you can get something like the KA3, and again, I think the KA3 is an incredible DAC for $89. BTR5 2021 is incredible. Again, you've got the Bluetooth, so you have the convenience. But again, my new favorite right now is the Moonriver 2. I think this is just a solid first entry by Moondrop. So that concludes my review of the Moondrop Moonriver 2. I want to thank all of you for watching this video. Please like, please subscribe to the Giz Audio channel, and please share this video. I hope you guys have an awesome day.